I would rather them said I want everybody to take their purses, their wallets out of their purses and their pockets and put them up here on the table, and I'm going to redistribute what I think I want you guys to have, and then you can leave with that today. That I taught them the lesson real quick.
Well, and by the way, this economics professor had said that he had never failed a single student before.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so first test goes out, and the grades were average, and everybody got a B. Really? And the students who studied hard were kind of upset.
Because they got it.
Yeah, and the students who studied a little were real happy. And as the second test rolled around, the students who studied little had studied even less. What's the reason to study? Yeah, and the ones who studied hard decided they wanted a free ride too, so they studied little.
Meanwhile, the guys getting D's and F's were like saying, this is easy.
Yeah. So the second test average was a D.
Right.
And nobody was happy.
Yeah, I'll bet. Imagine
when the third test rolled around, the average was an F. And as the test proceeded, the scores never increased because they were bickering and blaming and name-calling everybody, and it all resulted in hard feelings, and no one would study for the benefit of anyone else. And so to their great surprise, at the end of the term, everybody failed. And the professor told them that socialism would also ultimately fail because when the reward is great, the effort to succeed is great. But when government takes all the reward away, no one will try or even want to succeed.
Right. That's exactly the truth.
Now, I'll tell you, I've lived in a socialist country in the past.
Which one would that be?
We'll just keep it between us. But I've lived in a socialist country, and one of the things that I observed as I watched things within that socialist country was that the drive to excel was not there. And the reason it wasn't there was you weren't rewarded for excelling.
Right. You're punished.
That's right. If you succeeded and did well, your taxes didn't multiply, they increased exponentially. And so people who were inclined to excel, rather than do so, would just leave and go live somewhere else.
What a surprise.
Now, Alec Baldwin, every time he gets upset about something, he threatens to leave the country and move away. He's done that many times and never has left. I'm kind of surprised.
Yeah.
I'm not.
He'd have moved to Paraguay by now and been happy.
Yeah, I'm not going to say that I'm angry and that if they don't do things my way, I'm going to leave.
Yeah, that's
right. I'm a U.S. citizen, and I'm glad to be a U.S. citizen.
Yeah, but there's one thing that you're not. You're not a Hollywood star, Steve.
Well, no, I'm not. And
yes.
No.
Well, I'm not ever going to be a Hollywood star.
You never know. You never know.
You're right, but I feel pretty confident in saying that.
Me too.
That I probably will never be a Hollywood star.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to be anybody that is super famous. I'm just a regular guy.
I know.
But I'm proud of the heritage that I have here in this country. And I'm proud. I'm not proud of everything this country has done. There are with any of us, there are times that were dark hours.
Sure. Yeah.
But I have great faith in the ability of the United States to rise above whatever problem comes their way.
Yeah. May I add the people of the United States as opposed to say the government?
That's correct. Well, Ronald Reagan said that the worst words you could ever hear were, "I'm from the government and I'm here to help."
Yeah. No kidding.
That strikes terror.
And most of the time the government doesn't help, not because, I don't think it's because they truly don't want to help. I think the problem is that in a country like the United States, where the government is so large and so all-encompassing,
bureaucratic,
that they can't. That's right. They can't do anything simple. It's all got to be complicated, and it's all got to, we've got to satisfy this group and that group and this office and that office, and by the time you get through doing all of that, you can't do anything.
Well, yeah, it's like any business. If you had a business and all you had every day were like 10 different managers doing 10 different things and driving you crazy while you're trying to run your business, you'd be out of business. You can't have all this nonsense going on, and that's what we have. What we have is a government that doesn't run like a business. It runs like a government.
Well, that is part of the problem that our country is facing right now, because most of our people in this administration that are making decisions are people who are idealists. Mm-hmm. They are not people that have a lot of experience running a business. Mm-hmm. They have a lot of theory.
Right.
But they don't have a lot of practical experience in how to make that happen. And their ideals are just that. They are their ideals, but they are mostly experimental. Mm-hmm. And when you take experimental ideals in a country that has a 200-plus history, right, almost a 250-year history,
getting there,
and you say, okay, let's junk all of this and let's start doing things a different way. You can't hit that reset button without it causing a massive amount of chaos.
Right.
And that's where we are now. We're in a situation in this world where there's in our country, in the U.S., where there's a lot of chaos because of all of the things that are going on.
Yeah. The idea of any country is to be run like a business, and we have it. The business of the UK is called UK PLC. Right. Now it's run by a load of bureaucratic idiots. Now if we let UK PLC be run by businessmen, we wouldn't be in the financial crap we're in now, and neither would the United States if it was run by businessmen, not idiots.
Yeah,
that's correct.
Tyler, you were going to say something.
Now, sorry, Tyler.
Yeah, basically, I was going to start talking about what you were saying about the leaders of our countries. If supposedly running a country is like running a business, or essentially not as complicated as everyone makes it sound, unless I'm mistaken, mm-hmm, then why are we in this crap situation if the solution is so obviously simple that we, quote-unquote, the not-so-smart people and the, quote-unquote, extremely smart, stereotypical big-head people who are running these running our countries that obviously can't see what we're seeing? Or, like, what is going on?
Yeah, why is there no common sense?
Well, because nothing is ever put to public referendum.
Oh, there you go.
For a start.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's run by the politicians. So we're...
your vote...
We get the vote.
Your vote is collegiate. It doesn't make any difference who the hell you vote for. Your vote is collegiate. Our vote is corrupt. It's as simple as that.
Well, here's the thing. Part of the problem that we have here, too, is that government has become so big that they can't do anything because they're this mighty behemoth of people, and the federal government right now is larger than it has ever been in its history.
There's no need for so many people to be in government. As far as I'm concerned, we need a minister of, general business. We need an agricultural minister, and we need a fisheries minister, and that's all we need. And and those three people need to be able to run the blooming country.
Right. Well, you'll have to have people that are dealing with the military and with national security.
Yeah, that doesn't come under the business aspect of it.
Right, you're talking about
yes, of course. We need the military and whatnot. We need to be able to protect ourselves. But
certainly, seeing after the needs of the people.
The $12 billion that we're in debt, the $12 trillion that you're in debt. You need businessmen to sort it out, not a load of idiots that don't know what they're doing.
My contention now is, if government were the answer, if having a bigger, stronger government were the answer, we wouldn't be discussing these problems right now, because we have the largest government in our history.
Yeah.
And so the problem should be resolved. It is not.
No,
in fact, it's only worse.
Yeah.
No, because there's far too many pen pushers. There's far too many offices that it has to go through before a law is passed.
Yeah. Well, we've got a guy on the horn with us who's actually thinking about running for office. And Bill, what was your slogan you were thinking of running by?
Running for room and board. I don't see why the senators and the representatives need such a gross amount of money to sustain life while they're serving as a privilege, serving our country. To date, I think just the base salary of the congressional base salary is somewhere around $175,000 a year.
Right.
I don't need that. I'm working as a small businessman and using a business model where I keep my company streamlined and only do what is necessary to provide good service for my customers. I know that I can run a lot leaner, and if I run on room and board, that's just money that can be turned around and put back in the coffers to help get us out of debt.
All right.
Well, it's not just the salaries, though, Bill, of our congressmen. It's also their retirement.
Oh, yeah.
Their retirement. It is. And another thing it would be just to prove a point that should be considered, like our founders thought it was, a privilege to serve in the legislation or as president or whatever. They should be given a salary that is compatible or equal to what the military, who is serving selflessly our nation and dying for our nation, that maybe they should be on the same pay scale with the same benefits.
Well, wait a minute. Are you telling me that when you were a Marine that you didn't get $175,000 a year?
What?
No, and I didn't. I had, they didn't rush me to the hospital for a boo-boo on my finger,
Well, Bill, if you run for office and you win, what you say, I'll run for room and board, what exactly does that mean? I mean, does that mean they have a place for you already in D.C. that they'd say, oh, well, we already have this place for you. It's already paid for tax dollars, so sorry, that's not going to work.
Well, I would need a place to stay.
Okay.
And when I was in D.C., and for the most part, I would think that because of the 17th Amendment, I'm considering running as senator. Because of the 17th Amendment, and now it's an elected position, elected by the people, I would think that I would probably need to be home most of the time, kind of talking to them to see what I could do to help better represent them while I was serving.
Now, the 17th Amendment, some of our listeners may not know what you're referring to. Would you mind elaborating on that just a little bit?
17th Amendment, originally, from my understanding, and I'm running on memory here, and I think Steve will probably be able to brush up where I make error, or may err. Originally, the Founding Fathers set the House of Representatives as being elected positions. That's where the people would elect the people that would represent them in that state, and that's why we have so many representatives in the House. And in on the Senate side, the state governments would actually appoint the senators, and the 17th Amendment turned that around, and it made this just kind of a Reader's Digest version. It made the senatorial positions an elected position by the people.
Okay.
Is that correct, Steve?
Well, the 17th Amendment says that the Senate of the United States shall be composed of 2 senators from each state, elected by the people thereof for 6 years, and each senator shall have 1 vote. The electors in each state shall have the qualifications requisite for electors of the most numerous branch of the state legislatures. When vacancies happen in the representation of any state, in the Senate, the executive authority of such state shall issue writs of election to fill such vacancies.
By the people, but not for the people.
Right. And originally the intent was that the Senate would represent the interest of the states.
That's exactly right.
So if we were, say, to abolish the 17th Amendment or repeal it, then that would put us back in play, and that would actually take a whole section, 100 people there,